We all have that one familiar franchise, that one loading screen, or even that one boot up animation that instantly takes us to a comfortable place. A place where we know what's coming next, or at least what we can expect. And as we move further into this era of remakes, remasters, and retro-inspired indie games, nostalgia has become one of the most powerful selling forces in gaming. Sometimes these nostalgic releases feel like genuine tributes to the original games or franchises. Other times they come across as little more than an easy cash grab exploiting a familiar name. So today I want to talk about why gaming nostalgia matters and how it can be used in a meaningful way rather than just as a marketing trick. And gaming nostalgia isn't just about missing old games. Especially in an interactive medium like video games, nostalgia is tied to the entire experience we had with them. We don't just miss the game itself, we miss where we played it, who we played with, the late nights spent trying to beat that one impossible level, or even the moments shared with people we've lost. It could be the thrill of earning your first platinum trophy, your first online multiplayer obsession, or even the first game you remember finishing. And as the gaming industry becomes increasingly risk-averse, reluctant to invest in new IPs, we've seen a wave of remakes, remasters, and sequels to well-known franchises. And even indie games lean heavily on retro influences. Which brings us to an important question. Are these games genuine tributes, or are we just being played by our own nostalgia? Now, nostalgia isn't just a buzzword, it's a well-studied psychological phenomenon. But don't worry, I won't turn this into a lecture. In short, we tend to have stronger memories of the things that shaped our identity, the experiences that defined us. With video games, this effect is amplified because they're interactive. I'll always fondly remember playing Winning Eleven and Rock'n'Roll Racing with friends, or more recently spending countless hours on Borderlands 2 on the Xbox 360. Or maybe you remember that time you almost threw your PlayStation 1 controller across the room because you were stuck on a level in Ship Raider, which I definitely didn't do. When we replay an old game, we're not just recalling memories, we're actively reliving them. Even if we can't perfectly recreate the past, it's the closest we can get. That's why retro gaming had the massive boom during the lockdown, with some people even going as far as hunting down CRTs to recreate the experience exactly as they remembered. That level of immersion and personal connection is something that non-interactive media just can't match. And even though I know that certain experiences had their time and place, I won't lie. If they released an official, updated version of Winning Eleven 7 or Need for Speed Underground, I'd buy it in a heartbeat. So as we navigate this wave of re-releases and sequels, it's hard not to wonder which ones truly respect and build upon their legacy and which ones don't. The best nostalgic releases understand that they're not just recreating a game, they're honoring an experience. That means capturing the atmosphere, the aesthetic, the vibe. To do this, there are a few key principles. First, respect the original. A good remake or remaster keeps what made the original special while improving on its weaknesses, and Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 4 are great examples. Next, enhance, don't replace. With better technology, bigger teams, and higher budgets, remakes shouldn't try to erase the original, they should build on it. You can refine mechanics, expand gameplay, and improve visuals, but the heart of the experience should stay the same. Final Fantasy VII Remake is doing this on a massive scale, reimagining the game with modern gameplay while keeping its essence. And finally, you have to pass the vibe check. A remake or sequel should capture the feel of the original game, and Metroid Dread nailed this. It revived the classic 2D gameplay, introduced modern mechanics, and most importantly, played, looked, and felt like a true Metroid game. But not every nostalgic release gets it right. Unfortunately, nostalgia is often misused, whether through lazy remasters, uninspired sequels, or games that exploit familiar names without delivering the expected quality. Take GTA Trilogy Remastered for example. While it has improved since launch, it originally felt unfinished, shipping with technical issues, questionable AI-enhanced textures, and a general lack of care for the revolutionary games it was meant to celebrate. Even on the full remake side, Resident Evil 3 felt underwhelming compared to what Capcom did with Resident Evil 2. And when it comes to sequels or spin-offs, one that really disappointed me was Golden Axe on the 7th generation consoles. Instead of modernizing the classic experience, Sega just slapped the name on something unrecognizable, and it's no surprise that it flopped. Those examples prove one thing: nostalgia alone isn't enough. If anything, players now expect even more quality and respect for its franchise's legacies. But nostalgia isn't just about looking back, it can also be a foundation for something new. Many modern games borrow familiar genres like platformers, Metroidvanias, and RPGs, but introduce fresh mechanics or narratives that make them feel new again. The rise of roguelikes and bullet heaven games prove that even established frameworks can evolve through procedural design and player-driven storytelling. Even the resurgence of pixel art in 2D games has gone way beyond simple imitation. Now, retro aesthetics are used as tools for innovative level design and mechanics. The most interesting uses of nostalgia aren't just about pure recreation, they're about reinvention. Games like Shovel Knight, Undertale, Celeste, and even Stardew Valley are great examples. As the first generations of gamers become developers themselves, nostalgia isn't just a tribute, it's a canvas for experimentation. That said, not everyone embraces nostalgia in the same way. Some purists believe that games should only be played on their original hardware, preferably on a CRT. Others argue that remakes and remasters shouldn't exist at all, since you can always go back to the original experience. And to be fair, there's some truth to that. Some remakes fail to capture the essence of the original, whether through poor design choices or missing key elements. There's also a valid concern that remakes or remasters could rewrite history, sometimes altering or removing content to fit modern sensibilities or industry guidelines. And then there's the bigger argument, that the industry's obsession with nostalgia is holding back innovation. After all, every dollar spent on a remake is a dollar not spent on a new IP. And there's definitely a balance to aim for, and some remasters certainly feel unnecessary, like Horizon Zero Dawn and Days Gone, which originally looked and played well enough, had PC versions, and were already playable on PS5. But ultimately, making classic games more accessible, whether through remasters, remakes, or re-releases, is a net positive. The goal isn't to replace or invalidate our memories, but to honor them while creating new experiences for newer audiences. Gaming nostalgia matters because it's more than just revisiting old experiences. Thanks to the interactive nature of video games, we can actually relive those memories or even create new ones. A game that felt impossible when you were 8 years old, or one you didn't fully understand back then, might feel completely different now. And whether you're a parent, have younger siblings, or know someone new to video games, a re-release can be a great way to introduce your favorite game to a younger or different audience who may not have experienced the original. Of course, the industry can't rely only on nostalgia, especially with games and hardware becoming more expensive. But nostalgia will always be a powerful force in gaming. The key is balance, honoring the past while pushing forward, respecting legacies without exploiting them, and making sure the remakes, reboots, and sequels enhance what came before rather than undermine it. Nostalgia isn't going anywhere, so instead of rejecting it, we should embrace it, not just as a way to look back, but also as a way to move forward. And if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to the channel, leaving a like, and dropping a comment. Thanks for watching, have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.